UFC 308 is this Saturday, and I'm going to be going through each and every one of these fights, giving my quick pick and favorite bets on the entire card. If you want a longer, more in-depth breakdown, check out my video from a couple days ago. And this week is the first week we did 2 episodes of Wager Wars. So last night we shot an episode, 2 new guests, Pick'em MMA and Jewish Better, some of your guys' favorites in the community. And tomorrow night, we got Evan and MMA Giga Chad, the number 1 and number 2 ranked on the Wager Wars leaderboards. So definitely check that out tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Leave a like on this video, click subscribe, let me know in the comments what bets you guys have locked in. I'm going to make this short and sweet because I know, we got a lot of content coming this week. Let's get into this first fight on the card. We got Hanat Fakhratinov taking on Carlos Leo. I got Hanat Fakhratinov, man. I was going to parlay him, but it was when this fight got announced, and I saw he was like minus 220, and then while I was waiting to be able to parlay him, the line dropped to minus 170, and I went ahead and took it. I saw some people got like minus 150. I just don't see it. I do think Carlos is well-rounded. I think he's tough, but I think this is a big step up. I think this is a buy low spot on Hanat. I bet Dalby in the last fight, and I thought there was an argument that he won the fight, but Dalby is a tough guy to look good against. He makes fights close. He's just a scrappy veteran. And I think Carlos Leo is good, but I think he is a little too much too soon here. And I think Hanat Fakhratinov gets it done by decision. I don't hate the over. I thought about betting that at minus 170 also, but I didn't want any more ownership on this fight in case Carlos is able to find the shot. We'll move on to this next fight, but I did bet Hanat minus 170 on the money line. Next up, we got Bruno Silva taking on Ismail Nardiev. I like the underdog here, man. I like the underdog. I think Bruno Silva should be the favorite. I haven't bet him yet because, man, he's 1-5 in his last 6. I really told myself I wasn't going to bet this guy for the rest of his career. But I will say, man, if this line keeps growing, I'm going to be tempted. He's plus 150 right now. And unless he's completely checked out, man, I think Nardiev is right for the taking. I mean, I was surprised that UFC brought him back. Maybe it's because they wanted to put him on this card. I'm not entirely sure, but I really don't think this guy's UFC level. Is Bruno still UFC level? That's the question. Because a couple years ago, I think Bruno would have smoked this dude. I don't hate. I saw the finish only prop is like plus 160. I don't hate that, but maybe, I just play the money line. I don't know. I'm tempted. I'm going to sit back and just wait. It doesn't look like I'm going to be in any rush. If anything, the line might only get better. So nothing yet for me, but I will pick Bruno by knockout. Moving on, we got Farid Basharat taking on Victor Hugo. And I think Farid should win. I think he's the more well-rounded guy. I think this is a lot to ask for Hugo coming off that last fight. I mean, a lot of people were picking Falco over him, and now, he's fighting Farid Basharat, the better of the Basharat brothers in my opinion. But at this point, man, the line's just so wide. I think Basharat wins by decision. And in this day and age, if you don't think the big favorite is going to finish, then you can't parlay that. You can't lay that big old chalk. So I pick Basharat to win, but I think it goes to decision. I bet the over in my one and only parlay so far on this card. I was thinking about a second, but this is my leg 1 of my parlay. And I also haven't bet it yet, but I see Hugo is sitting at plus 550 right now. I'm going to probably have to put a sprinkle on that, man. I'll sit back and see if I get plus 600, but plus 550 is crazy, man. Hugo does have some submission skills. He could also win this fight by decision. Basharat tends to fight close, man. So, I'll pick Basharat, but I think that line is ridiculous, to be honest. Moving on to another big favorite, we got Kennedy and Nzechukwu taking on Chris Barnett. I wouldn't be able to bet Kennedy and Nzechukwu at minus 900, which is what it is now. But Barnett, short notice, the dude's got like a foot of height between these guys, and that doesn't always mean it's a good thing. But I don't know, man. Barnett, we'll say he's the natural heavyweight. I mean, maybe not natural, but this guy missed 265 a couple years ago. Now you got a guy coming up from 205, but frame-wise, he's the much bigger man, so it's kind of random. I'm sure Kennedy fills out well for heavyweight. I would want to see him on the scale for this one, especially if you're landing near 10-1. I don't hate anybody taking an underdog shot ever on 2 unranked heavyweights when the line's this wide, but the pick is Kennedy. I think the sub is live. I was looking. We talked about it on Wager Wars last night. Kennedy by sub is like plus 550. I think that's pretty interesting, man. I think the 2-3 sub props are interesting as well, but nothing bet for me yet. I'll take a look at those props more throughout the week. Moving on, we got Abus Magomedov taking on Bruno Ferreira. This is just a straight up 1-800 gambler fight for me, man. I mean, I lean Abus, but I've just never been a big Abus guy. I think both these guys are gas bags, but I do think Magomedov is the much bigger guy with the wrestling advantage. So if it goes later, even though it's a Bruno Ferreira fight, so none of his fights go later, but if it does, I think Abus gets on top and can win the fight that way. So I think he should be the favorite, but I think probably like minus 150 is what I would put it. So it's about, minus 135 now, so just not a lot of value in my eyes yet. If I change my mind on that, I'll tweet it, but the pick is Magomedov. I'll pick him by TKO. Moving on, we got Maitabek Orolbai taking on Matus Rebecki. Early on I considered parlaying Orolbai, but the closer it's got to the fight, I really do feel like Rebecki's getting a little disrespected here. I mean, he was a huge favorite in most of his fights, and then, he did shit the bed in his last fight, but Diego Ferreira's a veteran, he's a crafty veteran who can pull out a win here and there, and Rebecki looked good, gassed out, it is what it is. I think Orolbai should win. I think it probably turns into a grappling match. And I think Orolbai can win that. I think he can win the 2 and 3, second and third rounds at a high clip. But I wouldn't be wanting to lay minus 300. So I'm going to lay off this one. Just pass for me. But the pick is Orolbai by decision. We move on. Jeff Neal taking on RDA. I love RDA. Absolute legend of the sport. True BMF. Honestly, just probably the toughest resume of all time. Only fights killers, and he's fighting another killer here. Jeff Neal hasn't been looking great lately, but he's a natural 170er, and RDA has trouble against these real 170ers. I just think he's a weird tweener between 155 and 170. I don't think he's going to be able to get the takedowns here, so I think Neal pieces him up. I thought about betting the fight goes a distance, because I do think RDA toughs it out for 15 minutes, but I just can't do it just because he is 40, and Neal does have hands of steel. So I'm going to say Neal gets it done by decision, but no bet on this one for me. Moving on to the prelim headliner. I don't know how on earth this could be above Neal and RDA, but disgusting. This is really like a contender series fight or freaking ultimate fighter level fight. Ibo Aslan, Rafael Cerqueira. Don't get me wrong. They're both like young, talented guys, especially Rafael is, he's 11-0. 13-1 for Aslan, but 34 for Cerqueira, so it's not like he's like super young, but it is middleweight. So Cerqueira actually fought at this fight's at light heavyweight. Aslan's fought at middleweight and light heavyweight. I think Cerqueira has as well, but I think Aslan should get it done here, but Cerqueira, main training partner Jailton Almeida, they've been trying to get him on here for a while. I feel like Aslan can catch him, can knock him out, but there's not enough tape for me for Cerqueira. Like, I could only find like 2 of his fights to watch with the tape on, so I'd rather not bet when I can't really watch the fighters fight enough. I'd be just, betting blind too much, in my opinion, for that one. I'll go Aslan KO. We'll move on. Shara Magomedov, Armen Petrosyan. When I first saw this fight, I thought I'd be on the underdog Armen, but I just can't help but think this fight's going 15, and if it's close, they're giving it to Shara, man. This is their boy. He's only fighting out there, and I just think, man, if it's close at all, they're going to give it to Shara. I don't think there's a finish in this fight, man. I have been looking to fade Shara, but Armen, he probably does have a grappling advantage. I just don't think he grapples. I think they're going to kickbox for 15 minutes. So I'll go Shara, but I do think Armen's live, man. I have been looking to fade Shara. I want like a pressure boxer or like a wrestle boxer with power to take Shara. If you're going to kickbox and point strike him, I don't know. It's a tough matchup to beat him in, but I'll go Shara decision. I'm just not confident. I did bet the fight goes the distance as the second leg or the over 2.5. Minus 245, parlayed up with the Hugo Bashrod over 2.5, minus 220. That got me plus money. It's like plus 107 or something. I think that cashes. Moving on, we got Lerone Murphy taking on Dan Ige. Yeah, I think Lerone wins. I think he should be like 2-1, But I do think the fight goes to decision, and I talked about that. I'm not laying big. He's not a huge favorite, but I'm not really laying betting chalk when I don't think the guy has a high chance to finish. I actually kind of like that Ige plus 125 finish only prop. Been tempting me. I have it written down. I don't know if I'll play it. It is tempting. I think him and Bruno, the finish only prop, are live. Something I always like to look at. Those in the handicaps. It's not really a handicap on this card that I love, except actually maybe one in the co-main event. But we'll talk about that. But, I don't know if I'll play that finish-only prop, but I will pick Lerone Murphy by decision. I think if this is a finish, Dan Ige could clip and knock him out, man. We move on. Magomed Ankalaev taking on Alexander Rakic. Yeah, I think Ankalaev wins. I just think the line's wide. I think Rakic does present some problems. It's just I think Ankalaev has the better durability. I think he's got a better gas tank. And I will say, he talked about, I don't listen to a lot of pre-fight talk, but Ankalaev brought up, and, broken English. This dude ain't lying, about this. He's talking about Dana White saying that he told him that it needs to be exciting if he wants a title fight. That does make me think Ankalaev's going to come in here looking for the finish. So I don't hate the under, man. It's like plus 150 or something like that. Actually, I think it got bet a little bit. Plus 135, I don't know. Yeah, I don't hate the under, but I haven't bet it yet. I'll be taking a look, but, I think Ankalaev by KO is live. I know everybody's saying decision, but, Rakic might not be the most durable, and I don't know if he has the best gas tank either. Maybe he'll look better here now that he's not coming off a layoff, but I'm going to pick Ankalaev. I'm actually going to pick him by KO, man. I'm going to pick him to get the knockout. Co-main event, we got Robert Whittaker taking on Khamzat Chimaev. You guys know, man, I'm on the underdog. Robert Whittaker. I don't hate the decision prop plus 750. I don't hate the plus 5.5 handicap. I forgot the line on that, but it's a good number. It's like plus 150 or something. But man, the money line for me, I just had to play it plus 210. I think it's still there on Caesars. I just think there's a lot of question marks on Khamzat's side, man. This is 5 rounds. We've seen him slow down. All the freaking health issues. Rob is looking dialed in. He's looking locked in. If Khamzat doesn't finish him in those first 7.5 minutes, I think it's going to be a long night for Khamzat. So give me Rob. Rob, man, I'm going to pick him by knockout, but I do think, plus 750 by decision is kind of interesting. We'll move on to the main event, and look, I'm closing it out with back-to-back underdogs, man. Ilia Topuria over Max Holloway. I'm on Max Holloway. I think he gets it done like the co-main. It's 5 rounds. I think Topuria is good. It's not that I think he has a bad gas tank, but I do think he looks to take his opponent's head off with damn near every strike. I think if he doesn't knock Max out in those first 2 rounds, we'll see Max start to take over. I'm going to take these 2 veterans in the co-main and main to give these newcomers a little bit of a levels fight, a little bit of a y'all must have forgot moment, and I think Max and Rob can take over as the fight goes on. And I just think in this fight, man, Ilia, he could definitely knock him out, man. I do think he's got really good boxing, good jiu-jitsu, solid enough wrestling, but I don't see him going out here and using a ton of grappling. I think they're going to box. I think they're going to strike. There'll be some kicks too. I think they're going to strike, and until I see Max get knocked out, man, the bookies are saying that that's the most likely probable outcome, and I just disagree, man. It's possible for sure. I think Ilia can knock out anyone in the division, and I do have my I do have my reservations about Max going back down to 145. I want to see him on the scale, but I couldn't wait. I didn't want to miss the line. I had already seen a plus 230 or something that dropped down, or I think even a 245 that I missed. So I bet Max on Caesars as well, plus 220. I just didn't want to miss the line, man. But, I don't hate anybody on... I actually been looking at the fight goes the distance, plus 150. I might end up betting that, man. I think this fight, even though both guys could get a knockout, I lean the fight going over. So let me run through the picks. We got Max Holloway by decision, Rob Whittaker knockout, Ankalaev knockout, Lerone Murphy decision, Shara decision, Aslan knockout, Neal decision, Oralby decision, Abus knockout, Kennedy and Nzechukwu submission, Farid Basharat decision, Bruno Silva knockout, Hanat Fakhratinov by decision. Those are my picks. The bets, I got Rob plus 210, I got Max plus 220, I got Hanat Fakhratinov minus 170. I will be betting Hugo. I want to see if I can get 6-1, but plus 550 is there. I got the 2 overs in the Shar fight and in the Basharat fight. That got me plus money as a parlay. My only parlay so far locked in. There's some more plays I'm thinking about. Those finish only props for Bruno and Ige. The fight goes a distance in the main event. That Rob decision plus 750. Some interesting looks, man. I don't hate the over in the Hanat fight either. Or the Bruno. If Bruno doesn't get the finish, I do think it goes over. So maybe the over on that one could be a little sneaky. That's where I'm at betting wise. Those are my picks, man. Leave a like on the video. Click subscribe. Turn those post notifications on. Don't miss tomorrow, Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be doing Wager Wars, the second episode of this week. If you want to watch the replay from yesterday's episode, you can. The timestamps are in there. Like the video, click subscribe, turn those post notifications on. I appreciate you guys. Peace.